thank you so much for watching today. If you're new, welcome, and thank you for joining me. I'm right in the middle of a 4 to 5 week challenge where we're trying not to go to the grocery store except for $25 in some of the freshest things like milk, eggs, butter, and some fresh produce. I do plant some things in the garden and I have some things I'm able to harvest, but this is what my fridge, freezer, and pantry looked like when we first started. So as you can see, I shop the sales and frequently do bulk buying, and so we have a lot of things on hand where we started. This is the third update, and it's a little bit different because we did go on a Disney cruise this week, so more than half of the week was actually on the cruise. So I have a few recipes for you today, and things are starting to look a little bit different now. So the first lunch on that first day, I had instant ramen, but I kind of zhuzhed it up a little bit. I added some spinach from the freezer. It might seem a little weird, but instead of letting the spinach go bad in the fridge, if I have some left, I actually just throw the entire bag in the freezer. And it holds up really well just like that. I don't put it in any other packaging, just throw it in the freezer. So I have some for smoothies and things like this. Adding it to pasta and other, simple ways to use the spinach, it works out great. So I just added it plus some boiling hot water, covered it for 3 minutes, then added the seasoning packet. This particular brand doesn't have a ton of sodium. It still has, quite a bit, but if you don't drink all of the broth, I think it's, a little bit better than drinking all of it because sodium can be high in a lot of these instant things. And the next thing we made for that evening was Taco Bell taco kit. I found this at Aldi for $3.24, maybe 2 months ago or so, and I have never seen it before, so I was amazed. And they also have a soft taco version too, but I grabbed the hard taco one because we love hard tacos. And just browned some ground beef, drained off the fat. My husband's actually doing the cooking on this part. And it had the Taco Bell taco seasoning. I will say, after everything was said and done, it didn't taste like Taco Bell, but it was still very delicious. And it came with mild sauce, although we had some packets of hot and fire sauce, so I grabbed those out of the fridge. And my husband wanted to use his favorite sauce. He's going to show you here in a minute exactly the one that he uses. He had to share. And I just continued to build them with some sour cream. I grabbed some romaine from the garden, which I was lucky enough to have some growing. I actually harvested all of the romaine but left it in the ground, and it's now growing back, so I should have more romaine next week to use for something. Then breakfast was cheesy eggs with bacon, homemade bread with butter, and a few fresh strawberries that were left. Is that delicious?
I'm gonna take out the frosting.
Okay, yum. As you can see, we had a treat at Dunkin' Donuts one day, so that was one of the things that we got for takeout. And this next night, I wanted to use these party chicken wings that I got from Costco a few months back. I don't even remember, 6 months ago or something. They were just sitting at the bottom of the deep freezer, and I just didn't know what to do with them because we just don't eat wings that often. So I decided to go ahead and throw them in here partially frozen, and I covered them with water and set it to boil. I took some of that foam off, and then I keep the scraps in the freezer from whenever I cut onions, carrots, and celery. So I grabbed those scraps and I added them to the stock here to make broth. And I also added some fresh parsley from the garden and a sprig of thyme from the garden also, and some whole cloves of garlic, which is different for me. I don't normally make broth. Usually I'm making stock. So normally I'm not adding all of these things at the same time, but this evening I wanted to make chicken noodle soup because we are heading out on some travel. So I wanted to get a little bit of that, medicinal effect. It might be an old wives' tale, I don't know, but I just feel like it gives us a little extra vitamins and minerals and nutrients and things like that before heading out on travel. So I wanted to get this done before that. So again, I'm just scooping out the foam. I also seasoned it with some salt and a bay leaf, and then I just let that simmer for about an hour, and I did it uncovered so it could reduce a bit and the flavors could get more intense. And after that, I took some of the vegetables and chopped them. I took the celery and actually cut the end off and put it in some water, and I'm going to grow some more celery. So after a week or so, it grew about an inch or so in the water, and within the next week I'm going to plant it in soil in the raised garden bed, so that way I can get some more celery, hopefully before it gets too hot out. And I'm just going to chop the carrots I have left in the fridge and one of my last onions here and just chop that up, just a nice little dice there, set that aside, and then I'm going to pull out the bones and some of the carcass and all those chicken wings, and I'm going to take all of the meat off set that aside, and then I added the bones back and let that simmer again for another 20 or 30 minutes. And then I strained it into my large Dutch oven. I only have 2 really large pots, so that's why I use this other one. And I actually moved it over to a clear bowl so I could get the fat off the top. Normally for stock or broth, I would put it in the fridge and let the fat solidify and then just take it all off. But since I'm using it right away, I just let it sit at room temp until I could start to see the fat. And then I just scooped some of the fat off and threw that out and used the broth immediately. So this really turned out nicely. I did add a little bit more salt when I made the chicken noodle soup just to taste. So that's totally personal preference. And if you're doing low sodium or no sodium diet, it's super easy when you make things from scratch to just completely omit the sodium. So I really like that. This time I'm adding a little bit of butter for creaminess, and that's just personal preference. You can add it or leave it out. And then I just sauteed that until all those veggies were nice and soft and translucent. I added back in all of that chicken and the broth. And then I added some dry spices and herbs. So parsley, oregano, and thyme, I believe, and some salt. So this just adds a little bit more flavor, and to me it just adds like a little bit more depth. And then once it was boiling, I added some egg noodles, about 2 cups or so, and just stirred that up and cooked until the egg noodles were done. Added some fresh parsley from the garden, and that's it. Super easy. Even though it was time consuming, it was easy. And the next day we made some Annie's mac and cheese for everybody, and that was so delicious. I love mac and cheese from a box. And then when we got back from the cruise, we had French bread pizza with apples and nuggets. I mean, you know, it was easy, right? I was tired. So here's what the pantry looks like now. So I do have a lot of dry ingredients left. I have rice. I have a few boxed mac and cheese. I have a lot of snacks. The fridge is pretty sparse, not very much cheese, just a couple little bits here and there of pepper jack and cheddar, and no fresh produce except for lemons and some ginger and mint. And I'm going to be doing a little bit more shopping at Aldi in the coming days, just $25 max, just to get some fresh items in the house. I have a plan for this next week too, a lot of it from the freezer as well. Let's go check the garden. Here's my little garlic, onion, strawberry, and carrot patch over here. I've got some carrots germinating, yay. It looks like this onion is not going to make it. That onion looks okay though. And this is the first time I'm using scraps, like an onion that's sprouted, to grow whole onions. So I don't know how it's going to go. My garlic is doing really well too. Most of them, that is, this one not doing as well, but the others look fantastic. And then I don't have anything going on with the strawberries yet, so I'll just keep an eye on that. I planted some garlic over here last week, and it's doing really well too. I need to trim some things off of this tomato down on the bottom here because you see the yellow. Don't want any yellow on our tomatoes. I'm just going to take that off real quick. Doesn't need all of this either. This looks like it might be wind damaged or something's going on there, so I'm going to take that off too. Let's give that a little pinch there. There we go. Probably take off this bottom one too. Doesn't need a whole lot of leaves when it's this small. Anyway, so, all right. Okay, so that's happy. And looks like I've got a carrot over here. And I did plant quite a few carrots. None of them germinated yet, but I have, oh wait, I have some carrots germinated here. So there's a few starting. And my lettuce is coming back nicely. I used all of it up last week, but it's coming back, so I have a little bit left. Still have a lot of jalapenos. I gotta get rid of some of those that are not good anymore. Oregano's coming back quite a bit. Strawberries look pretty happy. Parsley I need to cut back a bit. It's getting really big. Let's see if anything else germinated over here. Everything else looks pretty happy. Some of the carrots germinated here. This potato does not look happy right now, so I think that's a potato. You know, I'm not even sure. Well, I think it is, but I was happier last week. I had to move this tomato plant that I had over here because I didn't realize there was a potato there. Forgot that I buried them. And that's an onion over there. So I'm not sure. I think that's an onion. No, it looks different. I don't know. We'll wait and see. It's raining again in California, and as you can see, I still have a lot of carrots that are ready to go. I can harvest those anytime. I do have some cilantro as well, and the tomato plants are doing good, but they won't give me anything for a couple months. If you like this video, please give me a little thumbs up so that way it can get out to more people. Stay tuned for some more recipes and more meal planning, and of course an update for next week. And please subscribe to see more and put on that little bell for notifications. I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.